You just want attention. You don't want my heart. Maybe you just hit the thought of me with someone new. Yeah, you just want attention.
Okay, so one thing that I didn't say earlier, just so that you should know, so we absolutely are one of the lowest funded school districts in California, but because California is 45th in the nation, we are one of the lowest funded school districts in the country. And yet, Irvine Unified School District, once again, third year in a row, we're the highest performing school district in California. And I will tell you, it's in large part because of people like Cassie and her direct leadership. It's unbelievable, unparalleled. I'll hold this for you. This weighs like 50 pounds, so I'll hold it.
Thank you. It's kind of horrifying, I'm just going to say. And at the same time, I'm incredibly honored. The anticipation of this evening had me thinking back to an experience I had at Irvine High School, and it was funny as Eli was talking about his life. I'm like, I did that. I did the spelling bee and got knocked out on secretaries. But I spelled exacerbate, so, but I was, gosh, I'm thinking now, it was 30-some years ago. Dad, don't round me up. You always do. It was probably a couple more years than that. But I was a three-sport athlete, cross-country, soccer, track. And I was not a naturally gifted athlete. I had to work really hard. But what I loved was being part of a team. That was important to me. And I remember vividly, it was the end of my freshman year, and I promise you I'm not going to summarize every year since, because I'm going to stick to my 3 minutes. But we had a track banquet, and we did it every single year, and it was in the Student Center at Irvine High School, and some of you may have been in that space, but they crammed about, 700 of us into that space, and it was probably good that we did not have a risk manager at that time, because I'm sure it wasn't legal. But I remember sitting there with some of my friends, we're kind of shoulder to shoulder, and I watched my freshman track coach, Scott Fear, walk up to the podium, and I wasn't really paying as much attention as I should have been, because he called my name. He called Cassie Parham, most valuable freshman track athlete. And I remember I'd heard the expression of people being speechless, but I didn't understand the physical mechanism of being speechless, which is that your vocal cords constrict in your throat, and it makes it impossible to speak. So I walked to the podium and whispered, "Thank you." And as I walked back to my seat, I was looking at all of these incredibly talented athletes, thinking, why in the world would he have picked me? I'm at a loss. So I kind of racked my brain thinking about what could it have been. And I remembered that there was one really tough practice. It was intervals on the track. It was 400, 600, 800s. It was excruciating. And I am sorely lacking in fast twitch muscle fibers, so even more so for me. I remember it because halfway through I had to go to the bathroom, and I had to go. And a lot of kids would use that excuse, like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom and then miss an interval. But I had to go, and I went, and I came back, and then I finished the practice, and at the end of it, I asked Mr. Fear, Coach Fear, if I could make up the interval that I had missed. And he smiled, and he ran it with me. And I think that was probably it. Nonetheless, this night feels shockingly similar to me because, once again, I'm surrounded by incredibly talented people, and I work in an organization where I could name many who should be standing up here with me. I am unbelievably blessed, and I never, ever forget how blessed I am to have come through Irvine schools, to have had parents who understood the power of education and made sure that I was in Irvine for that reason. I have the opportunity to work with people at every level in this organization, and they are so selfless, passionate, and dedicated. They care so deeply and give so much of themselves because they're driven to make a difference for kids. Tonight, I want to thank my family who inspired me to become a teacher and an administrator, who support me and, quite frankly, put up with me. My husband, Mark Cunningham, is here after a really tough loss to CDM. I just want to say thank you for getting them out of the league. They had no business being in it. I also want to thank Terry, who I consider my extended family, and I affectionately refer to him as the big brother I never wanted. I have come to realize that I always needed. I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. My Ed Services team, who humble me every day with their endless capacity and belief in our work, and the unbelievable world-class educators in our schools who each day they remember that student sitting in front of them is someone else's entire universe. And our school board, who are quite honestly the smartest, most articulate people with big hearts who are in their jobs for the right reasons. We are so lucky. And I want to thank IPSF, an organization that helps us, in spite of our appalling lack of state funding, continue to make a profound difference for Irvine kids. Thank you.